college, I left home to work on a French farm. This came from one whose language skills began and ended with "Je m'appelle Darcy," and whose idea of labor consisted of hailing a New York City cab. Best not to question such logic. I advertised in local French papers offering my services as a farmhand in exchange for room and board. Out of 60 responses, I chose 4 to interview. So off I went, leaving behind my staples of Pop-Tarts and cheese doodles and 2 very confused but understanding parents. My first family in La Rochelle, a seaside town along the Atlantic, had me pollinating greenhouse tomatoes. After 8 hours of zapping thousands of yellow flowers with what looked like a high-speed mixer, I could barely crawl to the dining table. But the agony of bruised knees and crippled fingers seemed secondary to the enormous bowl of chocolate mousse served after a meal of chicken tarragon and freshly picked salad greens. If this is what French farmers ate, I'm in. At the end of the week, I explained in my less than perfect French that this was a trial interview. They looked befuddled. What a crazy American girl. My next stop was Saint-Afrique, a village tucked within the Massif Central, a mountain chain in central France. 7 kids and 2 very hardy-looking parents served me a huge cup of steaming coffee with thick slices of dark brown bread. But what caught my eye was an imposing wheel of Roquefort cheese that the children slathered on their bread as if it were butter. How could they afford such a luxury? Because this was Roquefort country, I had landed on a sheep farm. The next morning, I sat alongside Mademoiselle, the family's prized ewe. The closest I had ever gotten to squeezing anything so personal was the bottom of a toothpaste tube. But I was determined. After 1 squirt, Mademoiselle gave me a dirty look. Then she kicked me in the shin and bawed out of the barn. Everybody laughed. But after more humiliation, I left with a care package replete with country baguettes and slabs of creamy Roquefort. Who knew that penicillin could be so transporting? I fell in love with my 3rd and 4th families. One near the Pyrenees grew apple, pear, cherry, and peach trees. The other nestled among the lower Alps, harvested grapes for wine. For 2 years, I traveled back and forth according to the seasons. The food was as uncomplicated as they were. Have you ever eaten freshly made mayonnaise from recently hatched eggs? Wow. I had a few lessons in how to kill and dress a chicken, make pâté, canned fruits and vegetables. The featured showcase, though, was making foie gras. Herding geese into a small pen and force-feeding them may seem cruel, but to these farmers, it was a way of life and a special offering during the holidays. Life was basic here. Kill, eat, enjoy. It was backbreaking work, lugging buckets of fruit up and down ladders, but nothing compared to picking grapes during the sweltering heat of late summer and the cold rush of an October rain. The only thing that kept our nimble fingers snipping was the promise of our midday feast. We began with a thick vegetable soup, followed by maybe a sizzling pork roast surrounded by newborn potatoes, or in deference to our Moroccan co-workers, a spicy couscous. One of my hosts had a truffle dog. If we had had a particularly good day, we were treated to a truffle omelet. Do you think I could bring one of those dogs to Central Park? At the end of the season, we celebrated by sampling a few of the wines. Some of us sampled more than just a few. My parents thought I would never come back. I wanted desperately to marry a French farmer, but as they say, it was not on the menu. Instead, I wed a man whose favorite foods are burgers, pizza, and of course, pie a la mode.